Let's dive into the discussions shaping the nation.
Taoiseach, there were 233 children on a waiting list for spinal surgery at Children's Health Ireland hospitals at the end of February. 43 of those children who had been approved for surgery had been waiting for more than 6 months, and 15 of those had been kept waiting for more than a year. These children are in agony, Taoiseach, and it's a national shame on us all that they are kept waiting so long. This morning, the Oliver Callan Show heard from Louise and Delana Collins, mother and sister to 14-year-old Daniel Collins from Tralee. Taoiseach, Daniel has severe scoliosis. In the 14 months since he was told he needed surgery, his surgeon in Crumlin Hospital has not been able to offer him a single date. His back initially had a curve of 22 degrees, but there's now a 95% curvature to his spine, so he will need 2 surgeries and has no date for either of them. Advocating for Daniel on the airwaves is not something that Louise or Alana should have to do, Taoiseach, but they painted a heartbreaking picture of the real-life impact of dysfunction in the health service. The thought of a child in pain is appalling, and persistent pain or worsening health are the last things that any of us want for our own children or for anyone's child. I think we all know Children's Health Ireland has very important work to do to ensure the protection of children's health. It's tasked with ensuring our children receive the highest standards of care when they're sick, and it's overseeing the movement of 3 hospitals onto the new campus at St James's. But I think we will now be wondering if Children's Health Ireland will ever fulfil its commitment to provide surgery to children like Daniel within 4 months. And the publication of this latest HICWA report, this report on spinal surgeries, compounds these fears. The resignation of the board's chair, Dr. Jim Brown, yesterday only further confirms the doubts and concerns. So-called experimental spinal surgeries, reports of unnecessary surgeries, the lengthening waiting lists we know about, and of course doubts about so many aspects of the move to the National Children's Hospital. Taoiseach, some commentators are suggesting since yesterday that problems at CHI start and end with the actions of one rogue surgeon. But while the details of reckless experimentation are horrifying, clearly the problems at CHI do go deeper than that. And the HICWA report is deeply concerning in indicating systemic failures at a broader level. With more reports to come, what's obvious now is that there is a dysfunctional culture and that trust must be restored. It's very difficult for parents to hand children over to an institution that's been criticised, as CHI has been, by HICWA. So with this damning report and more to come, it's hard to see trust being restored without robust action. So Taoiseach, looking at how that robust action may now be taken, I'm asking first, will you examine the model used following the cervical check scandal and how trust was rebuilt there? I'm thinking of the important work of the 221 group, for example. And second, can you say, Taoiseach, whether the board of CHI now retains your confidence and that of the Minister for Health? And I'm thinking of all those families impacted by the use of corrosive springs, families waiting on a surgery date, and of course thousands of children waiting on the opening of a world-class children's hospital who are awaiting your response on this.
Thank you. Taoiseach.
Well, first of all, I think the number of issues there, definitely, thank you for raising them. And in the first instance, I fully understand the trauma that the family of Daniel Collins are going through in respect of the delay in getting surgery carried out. I don't ordinarily want to go into the background of every individual case, in terms of the complexity of a case and so forth. My understanding is that there has been engagement. The Assistant Director of Nursing Lead for Spinal Surgery Management Unit has spoken with Daniel's family on the 2nd of April and discussed his plan of care. There was a further, I think, engagement on the 7th of April. And I would hope that his case can be progressed. I said it yesterday, it's in the hands of the clinical team now that are managing his case. A multidisciplinary team meeting will be held in respect of Daniel's case in terms of assessing and dealing in terms of dealing with the issue. And it's a matter for the multidisciplinary team to come forward with that and engage with the family in respect of timings and so forth. In terms of the broader issue, there has been far greater activity in spinal surgery within CHI, that has to be said. There has been a reduction in waiting times and in the lists. Others have come forward. It's not where it should be, and we're going to continue to press ahead, and I know the Minister is very focused on this. to further reduce waiting times in terms of scoliosis surgery and spinal surgeries more generally, and also then in terms of increasing activity levels there. We are awaiting further reports to be presented to the Minister. HIQA is the external independent body to investigate to ensure quality within healthcare settings in Ireland. It has produced a report in respect of the specific issue of the use of springs, which is absolutely unacceptable. I think we're all agreed on that. And then there are issues in terms of the independent review being led by Mr. Nigam in respect of, there's two parts to that, the review in terms of the individual risk and then the independent review in terms of assessing the governance of paediatric orthopaedic surgery service to make findings in terms of improvement in governance, quality, safety outcomes and performance metrics. And meanwhile, the work has to continue, Deputy. The work has to continue in CHI. There's a new CEO has been appointed, as you know, to CHI. The chairperson has resigned. There needs to be a new chairperson appointed. You actually need a board to do that. And I know some people have called for the ability or to just disband the board. That would not help the situation right now in any shape or form. That would weaken governance even further and could lead to further difficulties and challenges.
Deputy Bacik.
Thank you for clarifying there's been engagement with Daniel Collins' family. I understand there's still no surgery date, however, and I think we all do wish him and his family well. But the reality is there are far too many families and far too many children still awaiting necessary surgery dates. And there is still, quite apart from the trauma all those families and children are going through, there's a broader issue that, as our health spokesperson, Deputy Marie Sherlock, has pointed out, the broader issue of systemic failure pointed out by this HIQA report. So, Taoiseach, to return to that issue of confidence, I think there are three fundamental questions. Are you confident, first, that the current board is capable of implementing the HIQA recommendations? Second, that the board can guarantee the provision of safe surgeries to children who need them? And thirdly, can this board manage this complex transition to the new world-class children's hospital that we all so fervently hope will be available and accessible soon to the children across Ireland who need it?
Sure.
Well, sorry, I think look, no one's happy with this, obviously, and I'm certainly not happy. And I know the Minister isn't, and the Minister's meeting will be meeting with the board, meeting with HSE, on these issues. I think the further two reports, there's one on dysplasia as well as you've referenced, they need to come in. Three reports then will be assessed in totality. I think we need to, over time, and it's over time because we do not want to create any further disruption, and we need to get to the bottom of this, and I think we will with these reports. And I think these reports, and particularly the one in terms of the spinal, it's been fairly clear, transparent in what happened, and it's outlined what happened. We now need to make sure we have to keep the focus on getting more activity within the hospital. I mean, there's a lot of good work has been done within the hospital. That needs to be said too. A lot of the existing consultants have done very good work. They've cooperated. We've improved significantly the level of activity within this area in terms of scoliosis in particular, and in terms of spinal surgeries more generally. In the medium to longer term, we do need to look at the overall structures governing paediatric care. And that's the point I would make. And we need to reflect on that.
Taoiseach, please.
Like, share, and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.